if this is a true email that was sent, it's a complete admission by the government that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself and that he had a killer. So just to be clear, you want me to look for girls for you that are most likely willing to play with you. By playing, you mean involving your is that correct? I am not being childish. Now just want to have a clear idea of what you expect. He is a woman with a so that if your fantasy is to suck a man's otherwise you're completely heterosexual. It would be much nicer if the rest of the organism is female. Then you get the best of both worlds. We are now pushing the intervention earlier. So you notice your 3-year-old son has trans tendencies. So now you intervene with hormones. I would be frightened to do that. But who knows? You're not mad enough. Also, do you want to go with me to Jonathan's birthday in Tel Aviv? Should be quite demonic and fun. This one says, where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Patchwork podcast. It probably looks like I'm dressed like I'm about to do some sort of apology video, but I'm actually just sick. But you know what? The outfit feels fitting because I am apologizing on behalf of the disgusting elites and pedophiles to American citizens. So the outfit feels fitting. I wanted to start by saying there's obviously just been an incredibly large document dump of about 3.5 million documents. We as viewers have the option to take everything as truth and disregard the fact that there was an open Epstein tip line at one point where a lot of that was not verified, but that would not be wise. So I do want to go through some of what I've seen in this document release and what it means to me. And then you as a viewer have the option to take the evidence that I'm providing to you as truth or as things that have not been completely verified. I personally take a lot of these emails with people's names and with them admitting to certain things that they are doing as fact, but I try to have a little bit more nuance when it comes to these custom tips that are being sent in, because when things aren't verified, people can say whatever they want, crazy people can submit whatever they want, so you don't really know what the truth is. But the hard thing about this is a lot of it, you just don't know. You just have to take it and you have to guess. And so that's what we're going to do today. I've also been really frustrated going through this because I was under the impression that victims were what was going to be redacted, but it seems like a lot of the perpetrators are being redacted. It's shocking. So I did want to start, before we get into everything, I would just say if you're under 18, just go ahead and turn the video off. I don't think people under 18 need to know this in the depths that we are about to go into. Obviously, I think it's important for them to understand that there are elite people with bad intentions of harming children, and there are these secret networks that go on, whatever. All of it's really important for kids to understand that about our government and how consequential this has been on American politics. But I don't think they need to know the nitty-gritty details that we're getting into today, because genuinely I feel like I need to take 5 showers after reading through these emails. And some of the stuff that I found, honestly, I just feel disgusted with myself after even having to look through these and see the worst parts of society. So today we're going to be discussing things like Pizzagate, Lifetouch, the company that took photos of all of us in schools growing up, Transgenderism, Donald Trump mentions in the Epstein files, and so much more. So welcome back to the Patchwork podcast. Also today we're making whipped coffee. I was feeling nostalgic for 2020 when I used to make this all the time. So let's start by talking about Pizzagate. If you go on Google and ask them to explain what Pizzagate is to you, it will say that it is a debunked right-wing conspiracy theory from the 2016 U.S. presidential election. Basically, it was about the Democrats using the word pizza as a code word for doing weird sex stuff with kids. So here's what I think the conspiracy theorists got wrong about that after reading this. I don't think it's just about the Democrats. I think this is just about the elites in general. So the thing is, going through, if you type into Google DOJ Epstein files, there's a word search option, and you can just type in a specific word and it will show you all the documents that have that word in it. So that is essentially what I did for a lot of this. I also downloaded a ton of it and read through a ton of it, but honestly, it's so confusing. So much of it is out of context. They don't have the following emails. Like, it's a mess. But we're going to start here with this email. It reads, "Thank you, exclamation point. We love to have redacted with us. He is so cute. exclamation point, have a great week, exclamation point, XOXO. And then I don't know if this is a continued email or a reply, but it says, thanks for taking the boys for pizza. Redacted was sad he had to leave for the fun. Hope y'all have a great time skiing. Be safe. It looks like Leslie Taylor replied and said, yum, that looks so good. The boys are really cute too, with a smiley face. I just need redacted by 4:10 p.m. He needs a quick shower then, going to doctor for his annual ... Pizza time. Kids are hungry. I've never seen so many emails relating to pizza in my life. If you are reading through these emails and you cannot see that they are clearly talking about children and using this as a code word for their weird sexual desires and things like that, in my personal opinion, I think that you're lacking common sense if you are not seeing the connection here. So the next email, this is to Barry Josephson, which if you don't know who he is, he produced films and television for studios and networks such as the Walt Disney Company, 20th Century Fox, Sony Pictures Television, and AMC from 1997 onward. So he's very involved in Hollywood and the film world. So this was sent to him. It says, hi Barry, can you please meet Jeffrey at 12:45 p.m. at the corner of Lex and 83rd? You will then walk 1 block to a pizza place. Winky face. Be so for real. So my overall thing with the pizza stuff is it takes 10 minutes of searching to go onto the DOJ's website, and you can just see how much they were speaking about this and how obvious it is what they're speaking about. I don't really think I need to go further. To me, you can take it from someone that spent many, many hours reading through these that's what they're talking about. This is sent from Luciano Fontanilla. I looked up this person and I didn't really find anything, but it is sent from that person and it is redacted on who it's sent to, but it says, let me know once done and if Bobby is there or not so I can tell J.E., I'm assuming Jeffrey Epstein. Then they said, hi Jojo, Jeffrey would like you to go to Arturo's today and buy a large cheese pizza for Bobby Slayton, staying at 301, and deliver it to the apartment 7J. Arturo's opens at 4 p.m. Be there when they open and order the pizza then ... Deliver to 301. Bobby may or may not be there. He hopes to be at the apartment between 4 to 5:30 p.m. I guess if he is not there, you must leave with the doorman with one of J.E.'s cards that reads, compliments of Jeffrey Epstein. Write on the card, Arturo's Pizza for Bobby. Confirm back to me, thanks. I don't think they're talking about pizza, guys. I just don't. This last one is sent to Jeffrey and it said, this is better than a Chinese cookie. See attached. Let's go for pizza and grape soda again. No one else can understand. Go no. That's the thing too. They use grape soda a lot. I've heard people talking about hot dogs. Like they have a lot of these words, cherries. I've seen a lot of those words going through that as well. So I wonder if there's people that know what those other words are in reference to, because I think we can all assume the whole cheese pizza thing is children, sexual contact with children. So I'm actually pretty deep in editing mode right now, and this week I was watching Valhalla and I heard him start to talk about how he believes that they were using the word beef jerky as a code word for human flesh. And once we start reading these emails, I think it'll make a lot of sense as to why he believes this. But I also think there's a large possibility they could be referencing drugs when they're talking about all of this, because it seems like they have this weird dependence on it. They were talking about it like it's the most amazing thing in the world. I've never seen someone speak about beef jerky like this. That's even crazy for me to say, because my father-in-law makes beef jerky that I am obsessed with, that I will eat the entire bag in like 10 minutes when they bring me some. So even for me, this was a lot. So this first email is sent to Jeffrey and the subject is jerky. Francis has time to come tomorrow to show me how to make it. Jerky class, anyone? ? He will also bring you a taste of his new jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends a warm hello. He is working at a restaurant called Cannibal and cooks. Wait for it, ... Beef jerky and steak, ! He has time at 3 p.m. tomorrow if this is okay with you. This is a reason why Valhalla starts out believing that it's talking about human flesh. Obviously, they just made a joke about being cannibals. And I'm one of those people that thinks nothing's off limits for jokes, but it just gets really weird and dark as you start reading through these emails. The subject on this one, jerky. I will come to teach a jerky class, and we can also cover chocolate cream pie if you can agree to pay me through this pay period. So I would then receive my last full paycheck on the 29th of this month. J.E. has asked me to email you and ask you whether you would be able to teach me to make the beef jerky. I've never seen so many people concerned with beef jerky. But this email got me interested in looking up chocolate cream pie, because I was just like, okay, are they using food as code words for everything? Obviously, these people have private chefs, but there's like a whole other section of these files where they have these specific menus sent. So I don't really feel like they need to be talking about food this much in the way that they are. Subject, lunch, buffet, family style, plated, ? We will have chocolate cream pie for dessert. That will be plated so there's no mess. Hi, Francis. Is it possible to ask you for a chocolate cream pie recipe that you used for your pie, please? Would like to try it for him sometime. Thank you. So this email, it was just the end part where she said, thank you, and I look forward to cooking for you again soon. Hopefully some stews and chocolate cream pie, which made me start looking into stew, because at this point, I'm like, what are these words being used for? I need context for everything. You come to this email that says, no ham, forget stew, pizza, period. Pasta, ? And then someone responded and said, have stew, will prep meat sauce for pasta. Anna, can you come to kitchen to discuss? So it's weird the way that they speak about. It's weird to me. And I'm reading all of it and it doesn't seem right given everything that we know, especially with what they were using the word pizza for. Redacted and I have a wonderful time. The stew was almost as wonderful as the company. Please also thank Redacted and the chef and Lynn and Jojo too. Why are you having to redact names if it's over some really good stew? Better yet, why are you redacting names in all of these emails about food if it's not just about food? This one, the subject is stew, and it says, can you give me a call when you have a moment? Who's needing to call to speak about these things? Sent to Jeffrey, I thought you didn't like it, ? Of course, let's watch it, smiley face. The stew and parship puree are waiting for you, darling, smiley face. Sent to Jeffrey, subject, jerky, with 2 ? How is your jerky situation? Should I bring any more ? Sent to Jeffrey, subject, beef jerky. Jeff, old saying, dog ate my homework. Well, my dog ate the beef jerky. I was looking for the beef jerky as I knew it was in my suitcase and then thought maybe I left it at the beach, only to find the small plastic bag near my dog's bed. Hence, no beef jerky. I'll email Francis to make us some more as I need 6 to 8 ounces to send to the lab, and I'll forward Francis info to send to the lab directly. I'll try you later today. Who's sending beef jerky to a lab? That's what got me wondering, does this have anything to do with drugs? This one says, Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. He does not like what he made last time. Multiple exclamation points. Uh-oh, I'm sure someone over there will like some jerky then, with a winky face. Steve needs 6 to 8 ounce portions of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, roughly 2 pounds, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt it was more important for you to have jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for Little St. James, and some of that will then go to Steve and the rest of you at Little St. James when I arrive. Again, I've never seen so many people so concerned with dispensing jerky. So then Jerkygate only gets worse. An email sent from Jeffrey to this Francis girl. And for both Steven and Francis, from what I could find, I don't know who these people are. There's no huge public figures under these names. My apologies for not having jerky ready to mail out on Thursday, sir. Truth of the matter is that I spent last Thursday through Sunday in the hospital, then 3 days in bed. I didn't want to bother anyone with my personal problems, but I see now that was a bad move. I reached out to Sue and Sarah on Tuesday about when was the next day I can plan to cook for you, and they were unsure. It's again my fault for not communicating that I was very ill to someone. I have discharge papers and doctor's notes if someone needs to see them. I am, however, back in the full swing of things as of yesterday and can send jerky out today if you'd like. Also, not sure about how your diet is going, but if there are any requests for this coming week, please let me know and I'll get started on them now. Stews, pies, steaks, ? And this was in response to an email that said, I'm concerned that after being off and then being back since Monday, that somehow I have no jerky again. I am very, very annoyed. No one should be acting this way over beef jerky, guys. So to me, what they were doing with beef jerky, the most likely possibilities, considering what we know about these people, who they are, all of the other things that we've gone through, seeing that what they've done, I think it's either referencing humans or some sort of drugs. This is just sad about how they would talk about the women. It's got multiple images attached and it says bad skin, huge boobs, said 24-year-old. All the best. This is sent to Jeffrey and it says, better have this physical therapist. Very good. Weird to have other people touching my boobs while conscious. This is sent to Jeffrey. I'm still out at the club, the box. I'm sure you know it. They have these sex shows. There was one with a guy with fake boobs and he was sticking a bottle in his ass and then licking it and then throwing blood and teeth out of his mouth. It was so horrible. I also wonder how people get to a point in their lives where they are so sexually depraved that this is what they start to do. Obviously, I think it's that rabbit hole we've discussed where you start watching certain types of porn and they slowly suggest more and more scandalous things and then it gets you interested in these crazy things because at that point that's the only thing that can really get you going. That's kind of how I think people get sent down this rabbit hole. The reason I'm talking about these is because they're speaking of these girls like, here's their market value, here's the good and the bad things about this girl. Do you want this girl? That's the way they're speaking about it. And obviously the pedophiles' names are going to be redacted other than Jeffrey Epstein, obviously, because they're just letting him and Jelaine take the fall for all of this, even though we know it was not just Jeffrey and Jelaine. So the first email that was sent says, no, no, I feel great. I was referring to redacted. You have told me you have a good eye. You have told me you understand. She and redacted are the same. Fake boobs 25 question mark. Kind, but not even close to what you and I agreed. That makes me feel like he's looking for somebody younger. She's a nice girl, he responds. Wants to have fun with you. Not top model, but interesting. About fake boobs. I couldn't check before. Sorry. I'll pay attention to it next time. Let's do it this way. I will do scouting for you, but I need a model agency cover. I will make a card from his agency and all the girls will be ours. Because now it's difficult to explain for what I'm looking for, especially for someone under 25 years old, plus $5,000 a month, as we agreed at the beginning, plus tickets if you want me to fly somewhere. I have an access to all Russian model database, as you know, but I need to pay them every time they show me someone. They take $5,000 per a casting, but good one with all possibilities. I can cut the price, but still. Okay for you, question mark. Also, my plan for New York, I like. I will do my best and I can work for you for your model agency as we agreed yesterday. Do we go to market today? Tell me they're not talking about trafficking young females. That is exactly what they are referencing in this email chain. You know what's so funny about all of this? People will act like you are the crazy one for assuming that these people, where it has clearly been stated in all of these emails that they are doing horrific demonic things, they still call you a conspiracy theorist. They still try to make you sound crazy. And this is what Google says when you look up the stuff about beef jerky. If anything's like been proven, that they will use these words as code words, and it says conspiracy theories. Following the release of these documents, online rumors and conspiracy theories emerged suggesting jerky was code for something more sinister. However, according to the analysis of the files, the mentions refer to actual food and dining, with one email mentioning the jerky in context with a restaurant called Cannibal. Be so for real. Be so for real. You're trying to sell to us that there's an actual restaurant called Cannibal? Okay, this was something I found really interesting. This was an email sent from Mark Epstein. So it's from Puggy Killer. Mark's nickname is Puggy, which is interesting because this email is coming from Puggy Killer. So Mark has 2 children as well, but this is also sent to a Stacy Richmond, who I believe is a New York lawyer. It says, you don't know us, I'm sure. You have beautiful children. Your children. Which one should I kill first? You know no one knows who we are. I want to kill them in such a way that no one can tell how they died. We have documents that show you had a partnership with your brother. I want to do something to see the death of your loved ones. We kill one of your children in 72 hours. Stupid. This person then wrote to him, hey bitch, don't you want to answer? If you don't answer, I'll suffocate you like your brother. You don't know our boss's name, I'm sure. If you know him, tell us. He wants to meet you. Just because you don't answer doesn't mean you don't know your brother's killers. It's true, question mark. You know that if you tell the police something, we will kill your children. If you don't answer, the boss will be very upset. You don't know my boss. It's true, question mark. Hey, Puggy, my boss is a very kind person. He loved your brother. Your brother's mistake was that he wanted to tell the court everything. The boss wants to meet you. He just wants to see if you know him or not. What's the boss's name? Hey, Puggy, you have 2 choices, or tell the court you partnered with your brother, or we will kill your family like your brother. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. Again, maybe it's because it's not something that's verified. It's hard for me to tell on my end. But if this is a true email that was sent, it's a complete admission that obviously, I mean, we all know it, that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. But to me, this would be an admission by the government that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself and that he had a killer. It's also weird because I've seen some of the conspiratorial people online also talking about how they believe Jeffrey Epstein is still alive. And the hard part about things like this is like when you start going down the conspiracy lane, obviously anything's a possibility. And when we feel like the government has lied to us so much, that's why these conspiracies become so much more believable. But I also think it's important not to jump to conclusions. I've seen a lot of people going down this lane of, is Jeffrey Epstein still alive? And the thing is I've watched some of these videos and there's people going through it, breaking it down. I've seen people that are in this world of morticians or body examiners and different things like that talk about how Jeffrey Epstein's ears are not the same in the photo of him dead as they are of photos of him living. There was also this whole AI thing that went around that was showing Jeffrey Epstein in Israel. It was an AI photo. And so this is where it gets really hard with all of these things, is like when the AI stuff comes into question, you don't know what's real and what isn't anymore. And of course, for a while there, it was pretty easy to tell like what's AI and what's not. And especially me, I consider myself someone that is very, very good at detecting when something is AI or not, because I work with AI all the time. I'm a graphic designer. I'm a photographer. I understand understand that world very well, I feel like, and I can understand where its faults are. Some of these things are starting to trick me as well. And that is really scary because I think that is probably what's going to lead to the next world war. The downfall of society is going to be this AI stuff. I mean, think about it. You get one video, AI, that looks so real of Donald Trump doing something or saying we've gone to war, or that you get these false flags via AI. You have no idea what's real and what's not anymore. And that's crazy. It's scary. And then you don't know what's real from the government side of things. Like, you don't know what's true and what isn't. That's what makes it so frustrating. But that's kind of where I'm at, where I don't really understand how people can be so radical these days, because I understand being radical in the past, but now it's at a point where how can you be radical because your side has lied so much? The left has lied nonstop. The right has lied nonstop. How can you even be radical and so hardcore support a side? They've all lied to our faces so much. They're all involved in this huge trafficking scandal. They're eating human bodies, human flesh, and we will get into that. But these are the people ruling us. So I don't know how you can be radical left or right anymore unless you're just radically against the government at this point. Like, I really don't know what the options are that are left. Sorry for that rant, but to me this reads as, okay, someone's threatening Jeffrey Epstein's brother now. Maybe this is coming from the same people that killed Jeffrey Epstein because they didn't want these things getting out, because obviously nobody will ever trust the government again after this, in my opinion. Now let's get into the whole Lifetouch controversy, because originally I was seeing all these people on TikTok and Instagram being like, Lifetouch was mentioned in the Epstein files. Well, I'll just show you right here. You put the word Lifetouch into the DOJ file search, and all you get is 2 PDFs where you don't really see the mention of Lifetouch. This is a document that is requesting the opening of a grand jury subfile for grand jury information received during an investigation. And on the comment, it says, not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night at 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not release on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he 39s, put in a single man cell and hangs himself, ? Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number. And a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. Which, that's fascinating. I'm not seeing Lifetouch in there, but this person is alleging that they switched out Jeffrey Epstein's body, which kind of goes further down that. Well, then where's Jeffrey Epstein now if that happened? Is he alive? If Jeffrey Epstein was alive today, he would be 73 years old. So that's interesting. And the other PDF about Lifetouch has a check on it amounting to $7,829. And then it just kind of looks like a bank statement. But where this gets interesting when you look into who owns Lifetouch, and that would be Shutterfly, that acquired the company in 2018 for $825 million. Shutterfly was then acquired by private equity firm Apollo Global Management in 2019, which is interesting. Well, then you look into Leon Black, who is a co-founder and a major shareholder of Apollo Global Management. Because he is the guy that is mentioned in the Epstein files 8,265 times. And that is just by the name of Leon Black. If we are typing in just Leon, it's 27,196. So, like, we don't know how many times it was referencing him as just Leon or it was referencing a different Leon, but this guy's all over the place in it, okay? And here's some interesting correspondence that I found with or about Leon Black. So it says call with Jean Christensen, and she is one of the most prominent female attorneys within the field of employment litigation. It says victim was in her 30s at the time of conduct, met Black at Epstein's New York townhouse sometime in the early 2000s, was working giving massages for a few months at Epstein townhouse. Some of these emails are incredibly difficult to read because the grammar or the way that they spoke, so sorry if I sound illiterate. Victim is supposed to be sending a photo of the woman who introduced her to Epstein, described as blonde and young. She met Epstein at his office in his townhouse, and he knew that she needed money and redacted, and he talked to her about how he could help her out with her money problems. That was a very common thing with Epstein. From everything that I know, is he would target these young girls. A lot of times they didn't have present fathers or they were from low-income households, and that's kind of what got them to stay. She says Epstein never focused himself on her. He tried to get her to take off her clothes, and when she said no, he didn't force it and still paid her $300 cash. She also gave massages to other men at the townhouse, including Black. She may have had sexual contact with others, not clear. Epstein introduced her to Black as someone who could help her get a job. He was introduced as Black. She remembers details of where they were in the townhouse, where they met. Describes clearly the room where she gave the massages. Black allegation. She was giving him a massage. He was on his stomach. At some point, he turned around and said it was his turn to give her a massage. He got her on her back on the table. Recalls having difficulty breathing. Was violently sexually assaulted, including by being bitten. That's another really common thing we're seeing in here. A lot of biting, like very aggressive sexual things. Afterwards, he got dressed as if nothing happened. Asked whether she was paid for the massage. JC didn't know. After that, Black called her and asked to meet her for a drink. She thinks they met at Redacted Hotel. He talked to her about her credit card debt, his family, etc. At some point, he gave her an envelope with $5,000 in cash and says, "I hope this helps." He called her again, but she never met again privately. So here's another one that mentions him. Around 9:30 a.m. this morning, I received a call from a woman who now lives in Redacted, who told me she wanted to speak to me, said that Leon Black raped her violently years ago and has never told anyone about it other than her redacted friend. In short, the details she told me about what he did to her are almost a perfect match about what my client told me. He violently bit down on her vulva, labia, and clitoris. The biting would get harder and his teeth clamped down more when she yelled out in pain. The woman this morning basically told me about the same biting ritual and that she could not breathe. She was in so much pain. It is too abnormal to make up. She does not know my client. This person is redacted and says it happened in 2001 at Epstein's townhouse. She gave massages there and Black was one of them. She said she never had sex with Epstein. There's nothing publicly out there about the details of his specific sex acts with our client, so there's no way she could know. She works redacted. Sounded otherwise together. Anyway, if she agrees to speak to you, would you be interested in talking to her? This seems like one of those things that has not been verified, but, this guy's mentioned a lot in these files, and the stories go on and on like this. It goes back to the fact that a company that he is a large shareholder in owning was taking my photos, your photos likely, in schools as we grew up. They likely had these in a large database with all of our information, all of our photos, all of our faces as children. It's terrifying and it's disgusting when you really think into the implications of why would Epstein want to work with each of these figures and what he could get from it. And I think full stop, we can all agree when it comes to kids, we all should be drawing the line there, left or right, it doesn't matter. And when kids are getting harmed, just the most disgusting, vile thing you could ever think of. And reading through these, it's heartbreaking. If you ask me to think of the worst things I could ever imagine a human being doing, what's in these files is worse. This is where it gets really sad again. So I typed the word baby in and we have about 3,366 results for that. Kids has 6,224 results. So this is an email from Ted Waite, and it doesn't say who it's to, which, again, crazy. They keep redacting the pedophiles' names. Keep redacting these people's names that we know are part of the problem. It's really frustrating. So Ted Waite is an American billionaire, businessman, and philanthropist. It's so funny because philanthropists are supposed to be people that do good by giving money to others and promoting these really awesome organizations and charitable causes. And these people are all just a bunch of pedophiles. So from Ted Waite, out to dinner with 6 kids, having Chinese, thinking of you. Weird. This is one of those things that difficult to verify. Let me put that out there before I say it, but I wanted to read it because if this was true, this gives you a really detailed image of kind of what life looked like for the people that were trafficked in this scheme. The time I was taken to an underground location, I was blindfolded so I would not know exactly where I was at. It was dark, and when we went through the doors, we went downstairs. There was also an elevator in the location. I was kept in a stall. It looked like a horse stall that had short walls on the side so you could see inside. It wasn't really to keep me and the other little girls inside. It was to make it where we could be viewed. Epstein would walk past each girl, including myself, with a lot of men following him, and they would judge us. He told me I was fat and ugly. So that's what he called me, redacted. And he said I had to pretend it was him to see if I performed well. He said if I performed well, I could be his girlfriend. Then I would be allowed to be upstairs, he called it. He said the girls upstairs were pretty and they were his girls. He then raped me. And he said I was evil because I liked it. I couldn't make my body stop feeling. So he said I had to go to the holding place to pray hard enough to be able to be upstairs with the other girls. There were a lot of pictures of girls naked all over the walls. I had to pray hard to be like them, he said. The girls that he said performed well enough went with the line of all of the men and they left. Redacted. In Virgin Islands, I was redacted. They stopped there. I was 17 years old. redacted, was blindfolded and taken to an underground location. It had steps that went down. I was raped by Jeffrey Epstein. There were other men that raped me. I was kept in a stall so that men could look at me. He said I was an animal and that he was perfect. If I had sex with him, that I wouldn't be such an animal. Redacted. He said I wanted to be raped because I wanted to be more like him. Think of the habitat of treating these human beings like they're animals to be viewed, and their only use and purpose is for the sexual pleasure of these people. It's heartbreaking. I believe this is from Jeffrey Epstein, the gevacation@gmail.com email. I see a lot in these files, and it looks like that's his email. So it looks like this Alicia person is responding to Jeffrey's email that says, I'll find a girl for you this time, I promise. I'm so bitter now, I'll do anything. Europe would be better to find little girl. And then it looks like she responded, that is not funny. I don't like girls. I like women. Okay. The emails about the transgenderism stuff blew my mind. I mean, reading them, I was appalled, disgusted, and also not really surprised, if I'm being honest. Because as we all know, after 2020, we saw an insane uptick in transgenderism. I already did a video about this. So let's talk about Robert Trivers. He is an American evolutionary biologist and sociobiologist. Trivers proposed the theories of reciprocal altruism, parental investment, facultative sex ratio determination, and parent-offspring conflict. If you have no idea what any of those things means, I don't either, and I'll explain it to you right now. Okay, so I'm going to break down these terms real quick, and I just think this is important for you to hear because you can understand who the type of people were that Jeffrey Epstein was working with and doing these science experiments with. So reciprocal altruism. This is basically, I help you now, you help me later. Trevor said animals, including humans, will sometimes do nice things for others even if it costs them, as long as there's a good chance the favor will be returned in the future. Think sharing food, protection, or support, but only when there's trust or repeated interactions. Parental investment. This means how much time, energy, and risk a parent puts into their kids. Trivers argued that the parent who invests more, usually mothers and humans, tend to be choosier about mates, while the parent who invests less compete for more access to mates. It helps explain the difference in dating, mating, and parenting behavior. Facultative sex ratio determination. In simple terms, parents may unconsciously influence whether they have more sons or daughters depending on circumstances. If conditions are good, resources, health, status, producing sons might be advantageous. If conditions are tough, daughters might have a better chance of surviving and reproducing. Parent-offspring conflict. This means parents and children don't always want the same thing, evolutionarily speaking. A child wants as much care and resources as possible, while a parent has to divide resources among multiple children and future ones. So whining babies, sibling rivalry, and tensions aren't just annoying, they're expected outcomes of biology. This is an email sent from Robert to Jeffrey. It is very simple. I will compare male to female with female to male. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men by blocking testosterone receptors or castration, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features, the second encourages female features. More masculine women, heavy testosterone dosage, incredible external effects. Heavily bearded men, you would never guess they had a female bone in their body. First kind male, and then it looks like an arrow. Female is 4 times more frequent than male, and then an arrow to male. He is a woman with a cock, so that if your fantasy is to suck a man's dick, otherwise you're completely heterosexual. It would be much nicer if the rest of the organism is female. Then you get the best of both worlds. So many transsexual women are very attractive and easily make money, which in turn they assert promotes their prostitution, since they have to pay hefty fees for injections every week. But they are sexually happy. Once you have reached manhood, even castration does not prevent the sensation of organism. I think he meant orgasm. Contrast the poor female to male versions. They are unhappy and lonely. They are men with mum-pums, the worst of both worlds. If you like smelly masculine men, you want the hard that comes with the show. You do not want one of nature's more complex and variable structures. The pum-pum, that is an acquired taste, and not with a man. There are hundreds of females trans videos and websites. I've never seen a male one. By the way, we are now pushing the intervention earlier. So you notice your 3-year-old son has trans tendencies. So now you intervene with hormones. I would be frightened to do that. But who knows? You're not mad enough. We look at what's going on in society now. So this email sent in 2018. We look at society now where we are watching people transition. They're toddlers. They're making TV shows about transitioning children. They're live streaming, watching them mutilate and castrate children. That's where we're at in society. So sad. And I pray so hard for the people that have been affected by this, because they may not be receiving justice now, but they will be receiving justice when these people rot and burn in hell. And that's what will happen to them. Because again, the world might not be giving these people justice, but you have no idea the wrath God will have on these people for the things that they have done. Of course, I had to look up Bill Gates, which also ties into the transgender stuff. So this is an email that is to Jeffrey Epstein that says, okay, by the way, sending you some confidential notes from Ed. I would tell Gates if I were you that one, science is the most exciting. Forget transgender, it's trans science. You can tell him that you and I have no interest in donor advised funds. Too complicated, but cutting edge. Brain stimulation, plant and human interaction, mathematics that can deal with millions of inputs, biology versus few inputs. Physics needs to be developed. I told him he would have fun at the theory level instead of being under Melinda's thumb. Fat thumb. Weird. Again, a lot of it's just kind of hard for me to understand. Bill Gates is mentioned 2,507 times in the files, though. This was an email sent to Jeffrey Epstein that says, topic from Friday class. Based on it, we had to write the essay. I decided to sacrifice poor homosexuals. Again, it's just like so random. It's very odd. All right. Part 5,000 of You're Not Mad Enough, we come to this artist, Andres Serrano. He is an American photographer and artist. His work is often considered transgressive art, includes photos of corpses, and uses feces and bodily fluids. I'm not even going to say the name of this one piece of artwork that is his most famous artwork, but essentially it is a crucifix submerged in a glass container of what is known to be the artist's urine. And he also has been caught up in controversy and been I just want people to accept me as a Catholic. I am appalled by the artwork that he does. It's disgusting. And let's just take a little gander through his website real quick. Front image. Creepy, weird. This is the whole thing about art that pisses me off. People are trying to be so edgy and they're just being gross. It's gross, it's weird. I experience this at art school all the time. People would experiment with demonic type crap and it wasn't cool and edgy. It was just weird and creepy. So let's see. He's got a portrait of Trump up there. He's got images that look incredibly satanic. He's got photos of naked old people. It's creepy. It's weird. I don't understand it. Let's start there. This is to Jeffrey from Andres or Andre. Dear Jeffrey, thank you for a most enjoyable time and the house tour. I'm thinking about your monumental staircase and something of mine that would make sense and look spectacular. I'm sending you 6 signature pieces. These are Serrano classics, all bodily fluids. 2 of these, semen and blood, and the piss picture were used by Metallica as album covers for Load and Reload because Metallica admired them so much. I suggest we pick 3 of the following images and make a unique installation on the 3 walls, filling each wall completely. Not only will they look amazing, you'll have something worthy of a museum. The concept of what art is has been lost on the world. I think that Candace Owens said something about this the other day where she was talking about how they'll try to put a toilet in a museum and be come look at this art. And everybody's we're not buying it. That's not art. We know what art is. Stop trying to sell us this. It's not art. That's this. Another email to Andres from Jeffrey. I will be in the Caribbean. See you when I return. And then he replied, hi, Jeffrey. I will be having an opening this Thursday if you're in town. The Catholic League will be there protesting, ! And this is about his, again, I'm not going to say the name of it because even the name of the artwork is disrespectful, but the name, coming to New York City, Catholic League Bill Donahue. And in the description, it says that the art name, it shows a crucifix submerged in a jar of his own urine. Yeah, so I first thing I Googled about this guy is he a Satanist? And it actually says that he identifies as a practicing Christian and often explores religious themes, specifically Catholicism in his art. He's faced accusations of blasphemy, obviously, but he states he's a Christian. I'm not buying it. Not buying it, Andres. So let's get to the Trump stuff. Here's my thoughts. The Trump stuff, it's bad. The stuff about Trump in here is bad. Then I go back to the thought of we don't know what is true and what isn't. But where I'm at, I'm getting to a point where it starts to feel like Trump was involved with Epstein a lot more than he would like to admit. Again, some of the stuff in here is allegations, but let's just get into these. It's bad. It's hard to read, if I'm just being honest. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges that the defendant, Donald J. Trump, and Jeffrey E. Epstein did willfully and with extreme malice violate her civil rights. I'm just going to skip through certain parts of this. By sexually and physically abusing plaintiff Johnson, by forcing her to engage in various perverted and depraved sex acts, by threatening physical harm to plaintiff Johnson and also her family. The plaintiff, Katie Katie Johnson alleges that the defendant Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein also did willfully and with extreme malice violate her civil rights by conspiring to deny plaintiff Johnson her civil rights by making her their sex slave. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges she was subject to extreme sexual and physical abuse by the defendants Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein, including forcible rape during a 4-month time span during the months of June through September 1994, when plaintiff Johnson was still only a minor of age 13. It's just like, if this stuff is true, like, where do we go from here as a society? The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges she was enticed by promises of money and a modeling career to attend a series of underage sex parties held at the New York City residence of defendant Jeffrey E. Epstein and attended by defendant Donald J. Trump. On the first occasion involving the defendant Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff, Katie Johnson, was forced to manually stimulate defendant Trump with the use of her hand upon defendant Trump's erectus until he reached sexual orgasm. On the third occasion involving the defendant Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff, Katie Johnson, was forced to engage in an unnatural lesbian act with her fellow minor and slave Maria Doe, age 12, for the sexual enjoyment of defendant Trump. After his sex act, both minors were forced to orally stimulate defendant Trump by placing their mouths simultaneously on his rectus until he achieved orgasm. After zipping up his pants, defendant Trump physically pushed both minors away while angrily berating them for poor quality of their sexual performance. It's hard reading this stuff because there is the side of you as a woman that's like, you do want to believe women that have gone through that stuff, because so many of us are or know women that have gone through these horrible things. And so you read this and it's hard because you relate to it and you understand it, and it's hard because like you want to believe these women. You don't want to believe that people are capable of these lies, but we also have to keep in mind that people time and time again have made these awful accusations to men that aren't true in any way, shape, or form. And that's the really hard stuff about getting into all of this. But we have to keep in mind these allegations are legally unproven. On the fourth and final sexual encounter with the defendant Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff Katie Johnson was tied to a bed by defendant Trump, who then proceeded to forcibly rape plaintiff Johnson. During the course of this sexual attack, plaintiff Johnson loudly pleaded with defendant Trump to please wear a condom. Defendant Trump responded by violently striking plaintiff Johnson in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wanted as he refused to wear protection. After achieving orgasm, the defendant Donald J. Trump put his suit back on, and when the plaintiff Katie Johnson in tears asked defendant Trump what would happen if he had impregnated her, defendant Trump grabbed his wallet and threw some money at her and screamed that she should use the money to go get a abortion. On the first occasion involving the defendant Jeffrey E. Epstein, the plaintiff Katie Johnson was forced to disrobe into her bra and panties and to give a full body massage to defendant Epstein while he was completely naked. During the massage, defendant Epstein physically forced plaintiff Johnson to touch his erectus with her bare hands and to clean up his ejaculated semen after he achieved orgasm. It's dark. And I understand that I might get a lot of flack for reading things that are unverified, and I get that, but I'm reading multiple things from multiple people that we don't know if they are going to be verified or not. I think a lot of times it's good to put stuff out into the light and have people defend themselves, because at this point, it's like, put people on the public jury at this point. That's where I'm at with this thing. Like, if you're mentioning these, sucks to suck. It really does suck to suck. If you're around Jeffrey Epstein, you truly had no idea what was going on. You were truly innocent, and like, you're just involved at these parties. It really does suck to suck, but it's time to defend yourself publicly. Put everything out online, because so many people have been affected by this. We have been lied to for so long. It's like we're done with it. We're exhausted. We're tired of the lies. It sucks, yeah, for the innocent people that just like kind of got wrapped into this crap. It really sucks, and I hate that for them. But you know, you can prove yourself innocent by putting all the evidence forward that you have. I think the public can see through the BS, and I think sometimes you just got to put everything out there, and you gotta have people bring forth some evidence to defend themselves, to say that they weren't a part of this, because it's not looking good for anyone. And then here's just some horrible stuff that's mentioned. This was redacted who it's from, of course, because protecting them, but it's sent to Jeffrey Epstein. I've just realized that when you criticize democracy, you use Plato's argument with the surgery. I also realized that is really good body lotion. Like, who thinks of these things? Of course, again, redacted who it's from, but sent to Jeffrey Epstein. It says, I'm okay, I'm reading the book you gave me, and truly it's a bit difficult for me as of language, but I try. And also, I started to believe that one day I'll fly away from here to another life and live it. I hope I'm not mistaken. Fingers crossed. I know it is near the boundary of a dream, but still dreams come true. If not, we'll make them C-U-M. And then parentheses, it says come, C-O-M-E. Jeffrey. Multiple exclamation points. I gained my new 3 kilos, and I look much better. My ass is like a boy's, though, but it's definitely a handsome one's. I missed you all. Say hello to girls. My girls, not those who is, question mark, take care. These people are incredibly illiterate and sexually depraved. Sent to Jeffrey. Redacted was a little bit like that. I will ask Redacted if she has time Thursday or Friday. So just to be clear, you want me to look for girls for you that are most likely willing to play with you. By playing, you mean involving your is that correct? I am not being childish. Now just want to have a clear idea of what you expect. It pisses me off because they're redacting the pedophiles. And a few last emails. It starts by saying, are you back in town? I want to show you new house. I think you will like it. Also, do you want to go with me to Jonathan's birthday in Tel Aviv? He asked me to ask you. Should be quite demonic and fun. This one says, where are you? Are you okay? I love the torture video. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. It's crazy because not only are these people sexually depraved, but they also seem to openly be acknowledging it and proudly speaking about it. Like it's cool what they're doing. I just wonder how people let their souls get to a place where they're so out of tact that they're capable of doing these things to other people. And you might be wondering, what's the point in even putting all of this out in the open? What's the point in talking about such horrific, tragic things? And I think it's important for people to understand how evil the people in our world can be. But I also think it's really important as Christians for us to guard our hearts, which is why I tried to cover up things and bleep out certain words in this, because obviously it's really hard to hear all of those things. But the main purpose of this video would be to exemplify why America needs prayer so badly. When you see that our country is participating in the most evil things that a human could participate in, you start to understand how real it is, how badly we need prayer. And maybe a lot of people needed to be woken up to that. So, I mean, I'm going to continue reading and looking into all of these. It's kind of like mushed my brain the last week trying to read through all of these. It's just so sad and heartbreaking. Again, I could not think up the things that these people are talking about and doing. But at the end of the day, it gets really frustrating when we are hearing politicians talking about making the economy better. The economy's not better. Making housing affordable. Housing isn't affordable. Making America safe again. America isn't safe again. Making our food healthy again. Our food isn't healthy yet. Making the government transparent. Again, it's hard to even know where the transparency is in these files because they've lied to us so many times, even leading up to the release. Who knows what's real in these? Who knows what's real? Who knows what's not? I explained this on my Instagram, but again, it's like having your boyfriend cheat on you and you're like, babe, I know you're cheating. I know you're cheating. I saw you with this girl. I saw it in your phone. I know you're cheating, babe. And he just denies it for months and months and months. And then finally, he sends you 3.5 million screenshots proving that not only has he been cheating on you, but also he's been raping girls and doing unspeakable things with minors and eating people's body parts. Like, it's so much worse than you ever thought. But also he's redacting all the names of the people that were like helping him do the horrible stuff. It's kind of like, thanks for admitting it, but you've been lying about everything. You're a pathological liar. What can I trust? That's what it feels like right now with the government. The government is your crazy ex-boyfriend. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'll just finish this video by saying that I think our country needs so much prayer more than anything else right now. I don't really know how people can even play into this whole left versus right thing right now when it's just like, can we all just come together and agree that we should stop harming children? We should stop putting children on cross-sex hormones. We should stop experimenting on children. We should stop lying to what we are teaching kids in school. We should be transparent. We should have smaller government. The government was never meant to have this much control over our lives. And I mean, look at the disaster. Our founding fathers are rolling over in their graves right now at what America has become. So again, I would just say that America needs more prayers. We don't need more politicians that are lying to us and promising us things that they will never deliver on. We don't need more politicians that are pretending to be moral and stand-up people and citizens that are living completely different lives behind the scenes. It's exhausting for us. And for all of the people that laugh at us for no longer trusting a word the government says, glance through these files. I encourage you, glance through them. And then go back and look what Kash Patel and Pam Bondi said. When Kash said, there's nothing in there. If there was, I would be the first one to tell you. There's no evidence that they were ever running a sex trafficking scheme behind the scenes. There's nothing. Go look at that. And then go look at the videos of Kash Patel talking about how transparent he would be on day one in the FBI and turning FBI headquarters into a museum and all the amazing things that he would do when he's in office. And then look what he's done now. Because at the end of the day, actions speak louder than N-words. The amazing thing about every single thing being filmed and put online now is you can go back and you can watch them lie right next to each other. You can just put all the clips in a row of them just contradicting their own statements and lying. You know, it's cool. It's cool that you can do that nowadays. You should probably go for a long walk with no music and no phone and just really clear your head after listening to all of this. But I hope all of you guys have a great rest of your week. I hope no one else is sick like me. It has not been fun. I've been on the couch for like 2 days now, and I've had some photo shoots outside in between, so that's been a lot. But in the meantime, I will be praying for our government and I will be praying for America. So thank you guys so much for watching.